France, 24 points to 17 over England. Apparently their defence has improved quite a lot. I'm not sure how much we give of that to Sean Edwards, but probably quite a bit, because that seemed like a whole different French team. Their defence was ferocious, and it got them the win, 24 points to 17. It still kind of did have the French feeling about how they got to a lead and thought about throwing it away, but it didn't happen this time. England, a couple moments of brilliance as well, but not quite enough in the end. I'll go over some of the key points, and you guys can let me know your thoughts. Please do fill me in on the first try, because this game started at 4 o'clock in the morning. I got out of bed at 4 o'clock, so by the time I got to the telly, Rattez has already scored the first try. So it was 7-0 when I walked into the room, got the TV up and running, got coffee in hand and whatnot. So I was a bit slack. Should have set my alarm 5 minutes earlier. But anyway, it was 7-0 to France earlier. Then they got a penalty not that long after. 10-0. And concerningly for Tuilangi, on about a quarter of an hour, he went off. And concerningly for England as well. That guy's had his injury troubles. He seems to have been a bit more steady in terms of keeping fit in the last, 12 months? But he went off after a quarter of an hour, so Jonathan Joseph had to come on. Different kind of player. I still rate him as well, but not sure what kind of effect that had on England. Their attack was getting kind of nullified early. Like France held them out for about 15 phases before England just kind of put a kick through. It was a nothing kick. Nobody was near it, and it just let the pressure off, even though the pressure at that point was kind of on England in terms of going backwards with the ball. 20 minutes, the TMO checks Olivion's try, so there's a high ball. It's being contested. They're checking if France have knocked it on or if England have knocked it back. They check, and it's England that knocked it back. So Rattez gets the break, and he feeds Olivion for the try. He goes over, and it's a wet pitch, so he's able to just slide over. Or was that his second one? Either way, he got two. But, it was a try. 17-0 at that point, and the commentators, who were kind of prone to going a bit off topic, giving each other grief. On my feed, anyway, it was an Englishman and an Irishman. That sounds like a start to a pub joke. But, they were giving each other stick because one's English, wanted England to win. Other one, not so much. They were talking about the French players being largely made up from all around the world, not being French, which, dude, it was the Irishman saying that. So, see just under. Anyway, they kept talking about how the French were always going to implode. Well, maybe that one was kind of a good call. But anyway, they were 17-0 up. 26 minutes, England get to the 22. But the French defence holds again. They get a turnover. That's kind of the story of the first half anyway. And the French put a massive kick in, get the ball all the way down the other end. So England have got a 6-metre line out, defending their own ball. So, it was proper stuff from the French. 33 minutes, Farrell did drop the ball a couple of times in quick succession. He had hurt his hand around about the same time Tuilangi went off, so I can't help but wonder if that was affecting him, but he played the whole game, so not sure, but it was just a bit uncharacteristic, as was a fair bit of the stuff from England. He did, though, put in a good kick for touch, but again, the French maul defence held England out, and eventually when England went out from the maul, few phases and France turned them over. So before halftime, England went 15 phases and again got turned over. So halftime it was 17-0. Possession was 57% England, territory 60% England, but the run meters 248 to France, 117 to England. So they had all the ball, but they weren't going anywhere with it. France's tackling percentage was 88%. They made 82 in the first half. England 81, which is okay. 67 tackles they made. Knock-ons, though, interestingly, 8 to England, 4 to France in that first half. So under pressure, England were kind of just coughing the ball up. Second half, Ford puts in a great kick, and France, on their own kind of goal line, have a loose line out. Toge goes really close to getting a try. They go through some phases. Eventually, they win a penalty. They turn down the 3 because they're 17-0 down. They go for a scrum. Joseph goes close, but then there's a knock-on, and they went back for an advantage. England get a second chance, and they knock it on. So it seemed like the French weren't going to collapse. They were just holding when the English, by all rights, should have scored. 54 minutes. France win a penalty at the breakdown. They do a line-out move. Dupont, who kind of from nowhere runs back the other way, and he he's just got way too much space. He's just such an elusive runner. And yeah, he passes it to Olivier, who gets his second try. From there, there's some proper handbags. That's when the English guys, I guess, are getting pretty frustrated. Maybe the French guys are rubbing it in. But it's 24-0. The ref tells them all to calm down. But then, just when you think England are kind of dead and buried, and the English commentator even said, like, that's it. Johnny May, like, he just, I guess, thinks if the team's not going to do it, I'm going to do it, because that one was just like individual brilliance. He chips and chases, and then when he gets to the ball, he kicks it through again, and he's the first man to get to it. It is a peach of a try. And it's 24 points to 7. And from that point, the England scrum really starts to get on top, and it allows them to exert some pressure. 64 or 65 minutes, it's May again. He puts his head down and cuts through about half the French team. You could see his teammates kind of signaling, kick it through. And he's just like, no, I'm doing it because you guys aren't doing it. So, yeah, man, that was 24 points to 14. Kind of game on at that point. And then the French, they start making errors. Intermac knocks it on. Rates gets an intercept, but he knocks it on. It could have been a try down the other end. And then there's another knockout from the line out. You're really at that point thinking, right, France may be done, man. They're going to implode, and England are going to do it. But Cruz got held up on 75 minutes. And that was probably the moment where France knew they were going to hold on, because their defense was just solid enough to keep off those English waves of attack. A bit foolishly, Dupont, who had otherwise been fantastic in the game, with about 30 seconds left and them just trying to run the clock down, he kicks the ball out behind his own goal line, so England get a 5-metre scrum. He obviously wasn't watching the clock properly, and from that scrum they got a penalty and kicked it, so they made it 24 points to 17, so they at least get a losing bonus point to England. I guess in terms of their second half comeback, maybe that's a deserved one, but the French will be disappointed that they let the English get that close after a really good first half performance from them. So a bit of a game of two halves, a proper battle between these teams. They don't like each other, which is normal between England and France. But man, if you're going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I guess that's probably the kind of game you want to see. Final stats, possession, actually England 61, territory 70. But again, the run meters dominated by France, 345 to England's 240. So they had ball. They were going through phases, but you look at this tackling percentage, France 90%. That is phenomenal. England were at 80, which is again is good, but it's not great. 103 tackles for England. France 188 tackles. They were putting in a proper shift. Knock-ons kind of evened out a little bit. It was 11 to England, and then France was 7. So I guess England's still making too many under pressure. Again, thanks Sean Edwards for that defense. Aldrit got player of the match, which is fair enough. He was everywhere, but LaRue had 22 tackles. He missed 2, but made 22, which is a good shift. I think May and Dupont, in terms of with the ball, they both beat 7 defenders. So they were kind of your guys either getting tries or setting things up and just generally making the play. But yeah, good game, pretty entertaining. It does kind of shake things up, as England were the favourites going into this tournament. The first game against France was always going to be a challenging one, and so it proved. They will definitely need to bounce back in their next game. And France, there was probably a bit of a lack of consistency within one game. Can they get consistency from game to game? That will be a good question as well. You guys let me know your thoughts. Like I said, I did miss the first few minutes of the game, but do let me know your thoughts on it. If you haven't seen it, it's on the iPlayer at the moment, so you guys in the UK will be able to watch it. For you guys outside the UK, I'll show you how you can watch it using a VPN. But, all right, guys, you guys let me know your thoughts. I'll talk to you again soon. See you later. Remember, guys, if you want to watch the Six Nations match between France and England, which was something of a cracker, if you're in England or the UK, that's all good. You can just jump on the iPlayer yourself. But if you're not, what you can do is use ExpressVPN. There's a link down in the description for that. Connect to a server in the UK, and then when you jump onto the iPlayer, you will see the Six Nations is available there. And yeah, you can watch the game. Check it out, guys.